Hello and welcome to Daily Politics, reaching you live from TrustTV here in Abuja. On this program, we discuss issues around politics, policy and governance. I am Shafiu Suleiman. Today, we have our eyes on the Aso Rock. In less than 24 hours, two members of the All Progressives Congress, APC, have declared their ambition to run for the presidency of Nigeria. When news broke out yesterday that Jagaba Bola Ahmed Tinubu has declared for 2023, many who are familiar with the goings-on were not surprised. It is the case of the kingmaker who now wants the throne for himself. Also, earlier today, the governor of Ebonyi State, Engineer David Umahi, has also entered the race. But amidst all of this, declarations by members of the APC, the party is still battling over its national convention that will produce a proper leadership structure. While some members want it postponed, others say it should hold as scheduled next month. The internal wranglings notwithstanding, over 7 members of the party have declared interest in the national chairmanship of the party. Today, we have brought 2 of them on the program as we begin our series on the battle for the APC party structures. As the race heads for the finish line, we ask, is the APC ready for 2023, given that it is a house divided against itself? What are the aspirants offering? My guests on the program tonight are Mr. Sonny Sylvester Monidafe, a former ACN chairman in the FCT and currently a board member in the FCT Secondary Education Board. He is also the Jagaba of Jamaica. Also joining us for the program this evening is Malam Muhammad Etsu Saidu. As 36, Malam Muhammad is the youngest aspirant in this field, which has been treated as an exclusive preserve of the elderly. But now he is there bearing the torch of the young people. Welcome both of you to the program.
Thanks for having us.
Let me take a minute break, before the conversation commences. Stay tuned. Welcome back. This is Daily Politics. Let's now get into the discussion proper. Let me start with you, Mr. Sylvester Monidafe. The APC, some would say, is currently at a crossroad, looking at the multiple challenges the party is facing, from internal wranglings, arising from the congresses, to the politics around the convention scheduled for February, to the emergence of various gladiators, eyeing the #1 seat. And of course, one critical challenge again, looking at where the seats will go to in terms of, zoning of, who gets what in terms of the 2023 elections. These are fundamental challenges that await APC at the moment. As a critical stakeholder, how are you looking at all of this? Let's start from there.
Well, thanks for having me. Good evening, Abuja, Nigeria, and the rest of the world. Having such issues is not new to the APC, because I remember when we were registered by default in 2013. There was a month's notice given, and the law says if you don't prevent the registration, automatically the party stands registered. we came into being, and people did not expect us to overcome all the challenges that we overcame. These challenges should be overcome. Now, luckily for the APC, there's no problem between the aspirants. None at all. None, at least about 11 of us, 9, 10, on the 16th of December, during the APC press corps summit that was organized, kind of a manifest tonight. We were all laughing and joking. So we don't have any problems with aspirants. Now, as per the people that are as presumed to be having an issue, the governors, it's just a storm in a teacup. Then they sit down and talk. The APC has the abilities to resolve problems. It will be resolved. And I have to assure you that the convention will hold in February. It's looking as if 5th will not be possible because of the 21 days notice to be given to INEC. Today is about 24 days to then. I don't think we'll be able to do the data and get to INEC before Friday, which makes it exactly 21 days. So we're looking at maybe 12th or 19th, but it will hold in February, and the problems will overcome.
No cause for alarm, as you said. But then many know that, it's more like appeasing the graveyard, as he said, because going back and forth, and I mean, as it is, not as he said actually, because, what he's trying to tell Nigerians is that there is no cause for alarm. But Nigerians know that there are issues in the party. The going back and forth with regards to the date, the February timeline, which some say might not be realistic, going by the strong interest, that wants it postponed. And here we are with some of you, particularly Mr. Soni, is telling us that there's no cause for alarm. In your own perspective, how do you think, is that easy to have this convention with all of this crisis, rocking the party at the moment?
Thank you very much. When you're talking about crisis in the party, you are defining in another way that a political party should be crisis-free, but it's not. And there's no crisis in the APC, as far as I'm concerned. It's just a matter of interest, and I believe that the interest will be harmonized and the right thing will be done. When you trace back to the history of formation of the party, he told you a lot of things and the gimmicks that were happening at that time. In fact, even at the convention ground, some people were like, but at the end of the day, the real thing has been done and the party was formed, and the party uprooted the government in power. You should know that the party is well structured in a way that it's ready for any battle. And Nigerians should believe that this is normal in a political system that comes together in just a short period of time, uproot the government, enter to the system where the system is rotting, and they believe that they want to strengthen it. And we're strengthening it. Now, on our own issue, thinking that the party is in crisis, it's just normal when it comes to matter of electioneering campaigns.
You say normal?
Yes.
President Muhammadu Buhari, who happens to be, the overall party leader, if I should put it that way, at the moment he held sway, as the president of Nigeria, who has emerged, from the APC. And he's also raising concerns with regards to the crisis within the party. And he said, if the party failed to address these issues, there's a likelihood it may even lose the chance of retaining power. So you think it appears you're downplaying the challenges.
No. The president is trying to waken all the party members up to the challenges that we're going to resolve at the due course. And we're already doing that. Because last week and some weeks back, you can see the apprehension in the party. But now you can see things are downsing, a lot of things are even coming up, not related to the party structure. And what my co-contestant have said, that we're optimistic that the convention is going to hold in February. And what is important is to have a party structure on the board. And we're going to do it. We know how to do it. That is how progressive people are. We must tell Nigerians that we are capable and we have capacity to harmonize our differences. And that is what the president said, that it's just to raise alarm, waking us up from our slumbers, and that we wake up. And we're doing it now.
Well, we'll come back to that. because, you know, as we speak now, you know, some 12 states, you know, under the APC are in crisis, you know, as a follow-up, as a fallout of the congresses, you know, that took place. We're talking about parallel congresses, you know, inter-party wranglings and what have you. That is the essence of the reconciliatory committee that is going on at the moment. Well, we'll come back to that. But then, looking at the party itself, it's a party that came, you know, that promised Nigerians change. And part of that change was to also change itself, or change the political landscape, looking at how politics is done, returning the days of internal party democracy, which is fundamental. But today, this is a political party that is battling to get its acts together. Isn't this, shouldn't this worry some of you foundation members?
Personally, I'm not worried. Like you rightly pointed out, I was one of the foundation members. I was there from the beginning. I was chairman of the AC and one of the legacy parties in the FCT that merged with the APC. Now, if you call what the APC has done having crisis, then I wonder what we would be by the time we are stabilized, because we inherited a mess. Nobody knew the kind of rot in this country by the time we came on board in 2015. Nobody knew how rotten it was. I'm sure even journalists didn't know how terribly bad the country was. We came on board. Shortly after, the Delta Avengers started bombing. Price of crude dropped from close to $100 per barrel to about $22 per barrel. We went into recession. We pulled out in no time. In no time, we pulled out. And the president said one thing that has not been done in the annals of Nigerian history. He said, ministers, don't go and start new projects in your ministries. Continue with what you meet on ground. Which is why we don't have those white elephant abandoned projects in Nigeria. And going from that, we have achieved a lot in terms of infrastructure, in terms of even the security. We have achieved a lot. Now, it was what Buhari did that made us have the railway almost 50% back on stream across Nigeria. In the past, we didn't have the second Niger bridge, in spite of about 15 billion naira that was paid to consultants, 15 or 45 billion that was paid to consultants, without a block on ground. Today, the second Niger bridge will be commissioned this year. Ajakuta Steel was taken over when PDP took over in 1999. They were 95% completed, 95%. They went down to zero. Ikotabasi, aluminum smelter company, was sold off. I can go on and on. But with the $1 trillion above that the PDP got in 16 years, they did not start and finish one single project. Now, if you call the party that was able to solve or get such a country working in spite of all this mess, if you say we have a problem...
Well, you're not expected to come and meet a clean slate, kind of arrangement.
Not the kind of
the essence is for you to come and clean the mess, as you say.
Yes,
and perhaps that's why you promised Nigerians change.
Yes. Now,
and you talked about, the massive infrastructure and what have you, the transformation that went into it. But Nigerians are also looking at the cost. It came, at a very, very heavy cost.
Like
We're
what?
talking about almost 50 trillion naira debt, that has been incurred by the present administration. Okay. We're talking about an economy that is nosediving, in the areas of inflation, high inflation, devaluation of the naira, and so on and so forth. Rising in unemployment, and yet, it is under this administration that Nigeria has earned a title called, poverty capital of the world. With all of this you're talking about, let me get your perspective.
No, I have to answer that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just a minute. A minute. Now, America and about 9-10 other countries are the most indebted countries in the world. There's nothing wrong in borrowing money. The essence is if you utilize it properly for what you borrowed it, and then you are willing to pay. The president had made payment arrangements already. So as long as the APC is there, payments will be paid as at when due. Now the people who are making this call about borrowing and co are the people who borrowed and embezzled the money. Now the money is being borrowed and used effectively. Today the railway, the last time, I remember Wole Soyinka, one of the highest critics of the president, took a train from Lagos to Otta He was singing praise to high heavens. Ibadan to Lagos to Ibadan has been done. So it's not a matter of borrowing. If you borrow and you use it effectively, nothing wrong, and you're willing to pay back. And they're talking about the poverty capital. You see, unfortunately for the APC, I normally ask journalists when I meet them, when they make such comments, I ask them, where were they when this country was being run aground in the past? They kept quiet. I speak from experience because I was all over the
do
media
journalists
houses.
keep quiet?
Many.
I think journalists do not
They
keep
did
quiet
not.
at the
They
time
did not.
it matters, and they hold every government
They did
responsible
not.
and accountable.
I was the chairman of the ACN in the FCT, going for a program. I'll be asked to get a PDP man to come and help them. I said, I can get them. You can't even see them. They never used to speak about it.
Well, okay, before we come to manifestos and what have you, we were interrogating, the APC stewardship.
Yeah.
Mr. Sylvester Monidape has talked about massive infrastructure and what have you, and how APC was able to change the narratives in terms of the huge deficit in the infrastructure sector. But Nigerians are wondering, who are you building the infrastructure for when Nigerians are being massively killed, on daily basis? The insecurity is alarming. How would you justify, spendings in the area of infrastructure when poverty is aggravating insecurity in the country?
It's quite unfortunate we found ourselves in this situation. And if you look at what the government have done when it comes to power and the investment in terms of military and the security architecture of this country, it's wonderful. Well, tells me if you can go to the mosques in 2014 without checking, tell me any mosques you can go to in the whole northern part of the country without checking you. Churches, barricades everywhere. But today you can see you can move freely. No,
when people are being hacked in the mosque, being killed, being attacked in the mosque, and you say,
let me tell you something. We're not comparing. We're not comparing. That's why I said we find ourselves in an unfortunate situation where the criminality have changed dimensions. But the government have done a lot by even procuring and fight these people aggressively. Look at what is happening. Look at the results. It's not that we've procured these things and kept it, or we took money and eat it. You can see physically that the government have put things on the table for people to see. Look at the Tucano jet. Look at how the government was furious to see how we can be able to get equipment to fight these people. And look at Boko Haram today. Tell me the history of Boko Haram. Can you tell me about Boko Haram? Can you see them on the headlines of the papers again? The Boko Haram has been
when they're
degraded.
making headlines while the president is even visiting Maiduguri.
Let me tell you something.
With rocket launch. And yet
But he went to Maiduguri.
That's what I'm saying. And the president flies to Maiduguri, comes back to Maiduguri, and the flights were on Maiduguri, on all the airports in Maiduguri is always occupied with passengers. Can you do that in 2013?
They couldn't do it.
Can you do that in 2012? Let me tell you something.
Let's come back to the subject matter. Anyway, we have a lot to talk about with regards to the aspirations and what have you. Let me start with you. Looking at the APC, just like I said, coming up with this, with the promise of change and what have you, and especially issue of internal democracy, which is very key. The PDP has been having, running battle, sustaining, that, as a party. We've had the NWC led by Oshomole, sacked along the line. As we speak, we're having a caretaker kind of arrangement, no substantive NWC, which is what we're trying to install at the moment, even though some would say it's late. You're doing this, in the year preceding elections and so. How would you, for instance, if you get the opportunity to become a national chairman of the APC, what do you think, or how do you think you can address some of these fundamental issues that have been putting the party on the edge?
Well, to do with the crisis within the party, definitely under my leadership, we'll do all we can to immediately resolve all of them, because every problem has solutions. Are you willing to look for the solution? Are you willing to give and take? That is key. Now, the other angle is strengthening the party. We have a problem in the APC, not only in the APC, in the Nigerian political system as a whole. The members of the party don't want to own the party I have a plan. I've talked about it.
Is it that they don't want to own the party, or they're not given the opportunity to own the party?
They don't want to own the party. Let me finish. Now, the point I'm making is, as at the last exercise that we did, I was told that we have about 42 million registered members in the APC. And I mentioned it the other day. I mentioned a little bit today. If we can convince, that's what I'm saying, they don't want to own the party. Because when I was chairman of ACN, the issue of party members paying their monthly dues came up. And we say, they don't want to. They refuse. We'll convince them to agree to pay 100 naira a month times 42 million. That is 4.2 billion naira. Multiply that by 12 months. That is 50.4 billion naira for 1 year from party members. They will own the party. If you own the party, you can now call leaders to question. My leadership will make sure that is in place. Something that we have seen that has not been auguring way for the party is a situation where the executive will summon, the National Assembly will summon the executive to come and answer a query on whatever. They will refuse to go. The same party will ensure that we work on it. Synergy among the parties. I have a 5-point, I call it the roadmap. Everything is here. Now, the party members will be told, 1, own the party. 2, don't let yourself be bought over, because that has become the trend. People just think that you are looking for chairmanship, they will follow you, milk you dry, and most times they don't even care if they can't reach you later. But many people are complaining. So we want to put a stop to that. 5-point agenda, including what I told you about, ownership of the party, and then synergy among the 3 arms of government. And then you make a promise, you must stick to it. Most importantly, we convince the executive not to have a structure outside the political party when you are campaigning. Because the trend started with my friend Atiku Abubakar, 2007, when he was campaigning for the presidency under the ACN. I was chairman then. He had his campaign structure outside. Now it happens, it has continued. If you do that, the ministers that will be so appointed don't owe any allegiance to the party.
Perhaps like what we're seeing today. Is that the manifestation of that? Because some say the party has been hijacked, by people who have never worked for the success of the party and so on.
No, I don't say that.
Is it part of the manifestation?
No. But the point of fact is that the people that are ministers, appointees of the government, don't owe allegiance to the party because they think they are not relevant. So it's different what you are saying.
Okay. Brilliant ideas, getting the people to own, the party, members to own the party, as it were. That is the only way. I mean, those that are elected would now be, answerable and responsible for the party and so on. Talking about also shunning money politics. But we all know, even as it is today, we've seen perhaps the influence of governors, so to speak, who many see as a stumbling block in achieving this internal party democracy that we are talking about. Political parties are being hijacked by governors. They decide, who becomes what, who aspire for what, and who gets what. And here we are talking about changing the narratives. How can we do that in this kind of political atmosphere?
Thank you very much. That's why I gave you an answer outrightly, that people must come out and take the ownership of the party. Why are you complaining the governors take over the party when the governors bring out money and put into the party? If you contribute money, you ask the party chairman or who is in charge of the finance of the party the money that you contributed. And you ask the party to do the right thing. And you have the voice of the party.
Exactly.
What voice would we be having when even the chairman of the party and the party structures are answerable to the government?
That's why he said it's very simple to do it. And that's why our political structures have to be very clear. And that's why APC allowed people to participate in the process. And that's why we're given the chance to even tell our manifestations. What we have on our needs is to make sure that all these things are put in place. And these are the process of building democracy in the world, or even everywhere in the world. Because you must strengthen your political party because it's the vehicle for you to go to the government. And that's how you can do it, how people contribute, how people take ownership. People will now know that they must hold allegiance to the party, and they will always question the activity of the party if the party is going astray.
Taking ownership we've seen a step, towards returning the political party or the political system back to the people. The controversies surrounding this issue of direct primaries and so on, many believe that it is only with direct primaries that you can allow for participation of membership. As it is today, with the delegate system, you're taking the party away from the people because they don't even have a say. The money bags, can easily manipulate the process and so on. And it is the same political party, the APC, that is declining to assent to this very important bill. How would you explain that? Sorry.
Why? I'm very, very surprised that people are overblowing these things. And let me tell you, the leadership that we want to bring on board is the leadership that will make sure that we have the structure that membership will know that they are members of the party. If you want to do direct primaries, and that's why the president said, take it back and do the three needful things. There is consensus, there is indirect primaries and direct primaries. Give people chance. You can't just bring one rule into the game. If you bring these different rules, people will know what's suitable to them. But when I'm in charge of the party as the national chairman, I will make sure that we have a validated, registered members of the party, where you can go to your wards and you can stay within your computers or your phone that you're a member of the party.
Exactly.
Because it will be digitalized. Because those are the things that we said we have on our NITI in our APC reset agenda.
Well, democratizing the process, just like you said, making it more democratic with the options. We had these options before now, even in the build-up to 2015, we had them in 2019. Perhaps the direct primary option was the one that produced Mr. President, which gave him, the latitude, to emerge as a candidate. And then we've also seen in 2019 how these three options were used and abused at some point, created problem. The fallout of what we see today, the crisis perhaps that even consumed the former NWC, including Oshomole, were largely as a result of, the crisis that came up with the congresses, with the primaries that were conducted. So how do we think with this, returning these same options would give us what we want in terms of democratizing the process?
Well, let me answer a question by referring to what Honorable Jesus Mohammed said. You must have a register of your voters, of your members, for you to conduct direct primaries. Number one. Two, there's something wrong in doing something and accepting your error, then trying to correct it. Number three, the journey of 1,000 miles, popular saying is that it starts with one step. I have redefined it. It starts with the idea. The moment you think about something, you started the journey. You wake up the next morning, you take that step, that is part two. So we have done these things. The beauty of anything is to accept that you made an error, try to correct it. Now, I saw the error that the Oshomole-led NWC made. They told all states, go and decide what process you want to use. I remember FCT and Adamawa particularly, two states, I remember. In FCT, we said in FCT then that we will go for indirect primaries. Oshomole turned around and said, no, direct primaries, on his own. In Adamawa, it was the reverse. Eventually, we were forced in Adamawa to do direct primaries. It was a mess. In FCT, I tried to go to the voting ground in Life Camp Secondary School. I couldn't stay for him. I left. Now, those errors were made. Under our leadership, it won't happen. We democratize it to say, look, who has the best option for you to go with it. But from the headquarters side, we will make sure we have a valid membership register. We don't have it. How can we have direct primaries? Now, talking about governors, I want to advise the governors. They are my friends, many of them. Directly, they know me. I'm not fighting you. I'm just trying to appeal. Now, what they have been trying to do is to create a Frankenstein monster. And maximum, at best, they will stay for 2 terms, 8 years. When they go and they leave a monster behind, if they think they can control this successor governor, it's a big lie. Let me ask you a question in return. How many godfather, godson relationships do we have still existing in Nigeria today?
I should be asking you that question.
No, I have to ask you the question.
Okay, it's about time we take a break. In case you're just joining us, the program is Daily Politics, and it's reaching you live from TrustTV here in Abuja. And today we're discussing the race to 2023, and of course looking at the challenges before the ruling APC. And I'm here, interfacing with some critical stakeholders. Of course, aspirants, those who are aspiring, to take the leadership position, the chairmanship of the ruling APC. I have Mr. Sonny Monidafe, a former ACN chairman in the FCT, who is also the Jagaba of Jamaica, and Muhammad Esu Saidu, who is a journalist, a politician, and an activist. He's also a rural electrification to the Niger State Governor Abubakar Sani Bello. He's one of the youngest among the aspirants who are eyeing, the chairmanship of the APC. And we'll talk about his aspiration and what he thinks he can, do to change the narratives of money politics and perhaps, taking a race along with gladiators like former governors who have been substantially, have the capacity in terms of finances to dislodge whoever they're facing. We'll look at that when we return. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly.
The board and management of Media Trust Limited invites the general public to its annual Daily Trust Dialogue, themed 2023, The Politics, Economy and Insecurity. Date, 20th January 2022. Location, NAF Conference Center and Suites, Abuja. Time, 10 a.m. prompt. Chairman of the occasion, former Head of State, General Abdulsalami Abubakar, GCFR. Guest Speaker, Governor of Kaduna State, Malan Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai. Guest Speaker, Governor of Ebonyi State, Engineer David Umahi. Guest Speaker, former Chairman, Federal Inland Revenue Service, Mrs. Ifueko Omoigui Okauru. Moderator, Executive Director, Daria Media Nigeria Limited, Kadaria Ahmed. And all participants must observe COVID-19 protocols and wear their face masks.
Welcome back. In case you're just joining us, the program is Daily Politics and it's reaching you live from Trust TV. Today we're looking at, discussing the race to 2023 and the APC National Convention. You can also follow us, follow this discussion via our social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube. We're back, on the discussion now. But just before we went on the break, I was taking on my brother, Mohammed Esu Saidu, a very young aspirant. At 35, you rubbing shoulders or trying to slug it out with politicians who have had decades of experience in politics. One of them recently said he had 4 decades of, experience in politics. A former governor of Nasarawa State who is also in the race. And here you are at 35 also, taking up this challenge. What makes you think, in the first place, what motivated you to get into this race?
First and foremost, I think it's high time the young people and Nigerians should know that the time is for us to take charge of affairs of this country and even the political structure. If you look at what is happening in the system, is because it's been bloated by the same cycle of people, and that's why we're in the same wheel. And what's informed the young people now is to see how they can do and move this country beyond what we are seeing now. And that's what informed us to start it from the party politics. And that's why I joined the race, to make sure that we can tell the other young people that you can do other things differently.
Taking charge.
Yeah.
But it requires a lot of experience.
Yes,
because we're dealing with issues that are beyond, imagination when it comes to, dealing with a national leadership of a political party with structures across 36 states of the Federation.
Thank you very much. What you're talking about experiences, looking at my antecedent in the party politics, since when I finished my secondary school time, I joined party politics, mainstream party politics. I've been a youth leader of my local government, been a member of CPC, Youth Vanguard. And in 2015, I'm a member of Presidential Campaign Council of the Mr. President, who make sure that we uproot the bad system that we've been seeing at that time. And in 2019, I'm a member of the same Presidential Campaign Councils that brought in the current government in power. What experience are you talking about? Experience that we are still in the same position we are? Now we are saying that we want to do things differently, and that's why we are out and we make sure that we do things differently. Let me tell you one thing. When you are a civil servant or when you're working as a journalist, when you are 60 years old, you're expected to go back home and retired and be saying things. But when you're still in the system and when you claim that you are more than decades in the system, you're still doing the same thing. And that's why you say, we are there. We're not going there to challenge them, but we're going there to lobby them to know the reason why we're going to be in the race, and we're going to do it.
Mr. Manidape, you've had that.
Yeah.
Some will say, yeah, taking charge, returning power to the youths who have the future, whose generation should benefit from whatever leadership we are talking about. And now we are here contending with former governors who have had experiences as governors, as senators, and so on and so forth, with huge, capacity, as some would say, in terms of finances. How do you think, how are you going to face this challenge, meeting this kind of gladiators, to slug it out?
Well, my challenge is a little bit like his, in the sense that I don't have the kind of money that they have, but I have the goodwill and I have the trust of the Nigerian people. Because this is the 19th month. June 2020, I started my campaign. When they were giving the first 6 months, June to December 2020, I started it. So for 18 months, I have been on the trail. I'm still here. I don't have the money, but I have the experience. Now, one thing I used to tell myself is that when I came back to politics, by the way, I was a ward delegate under the SDP in 1990. That is 31 years ago.
You're also counting almost 4 decades now in the system.
I'm 33 decades. Now, I went back from when I left from my place of work, did my master's in 1998, to aspire to be the candidate for the UNCP, Yola North, Yola South, Gire Federal Constituency. Then I went back and came in 2006 and started a party in Abuja from the local government level, AMAC, Abuja Municipal Council, to the local government. I was deputy chairman. When somebody asked me, I remember the national secretary of the AC, this man from Jigawa State, I can't forget his name, Minister of Power at the time. He asked me, what are you doing with your master's degrees as a local government deputy chairman? I said, I want to learn the party structure. How to administer from the grassroots level. I'm happy I did. By June 2006, ACD merged with the AC. With AD, sorry, we became AC. I moved to become the treasurer, later secretary, and then 2007, when the PDP, the chairmanship candidate of the party was found to have joined the party, was removed, and about June 2007, I was made the substantive chairman of the AC in the FCT. What am I talking about? I know how to administer a party from the grassroots level. Now, my roadmap, like I told you,
talking about 5-point agenda.
Yes, and then support the Nigerian candidates. This is something that we have to talk about always. Nigerian candidate in the sense that I am a Nigerian. My father left Warri, Delta State, in 1950 from Agbaro, Iweli North, where my grandfather was Usuvier, the 11th king of Agbaro Kingdom. He left for Burutu by road and took a boat to Jimeta Yola in 1950. I was born there 65 years ago. So I tell people that I'm Delta by origin, Adamawa by birth, Jagabov Jimeta now, and then Abuja by residence. This is my 23rd year here. We should think about, do away with zoning and everything. the quality of the person it matters. The other angle is religion, which is something that people use. Unfortunately, my two blood brothers are Muslims. Same father, same mother. I'm a pastor in the church of my church. My two brothers are Muslims. I don't talk about ethnicity, religion in my jargon. Nigeria first.
Yeah. So if I understand your credential or what you are putting forward is your Nigerian project.
I'm a Nigerian project. A unifier.
Okay. Coming back to you.
Unifier.
Unifying factor. Now, talking about Mohammed Saidu, you talk about the reset agenda.
Yep.
What would you be resetting?
Thank you very much. My reset agenda on the party is just 4 things. One is positive rebranding of this party. What we met in 2014 is quite different what we are saying now. And that's why we're going to rebrand the party and tell Nigerians.
What's wrong with the brand now?
The brand now is what you actually asked before, that there's killings, there's this, there's that. And I will tell Nigerians that we are going to rebrand and tell you that this is what we've met on ground and this is what we are going to do differently.
So you think the leadership, the current leadership or the current structure is not doing enough to support the presidency or the government at the center in terms of reaching out to Nigerians? Is that what you're saying?
No. What we're meaning about rebranding is about repackaging what we tell Nigerians in 2014 and 15 and tell you that this is what we met on ground and this is what you'll be able to put on ground for Nigerians to see. And let them believe in us that if given another opportunity, we're going to do better than before.
That's a very Herculean task, because if you are repackaging what you told Nigerians in 2015, for instance, you are like going back to tell them that we met the rice, the bag of rice at 18,000 and now it is 30-something thousand. We met the fuel pump price at 94, thereabout, now it is this. And then you are now telling them that we've met the value of the naira at 180 per dollar and now it is 400. Is that what you are repackaging to tell them?
No.
Okay.
We're going to tell Nigerians that we built a second Niger bridge from ground zero. We're going to tell Nigerians that we've provided railways that you couldn't get in the last 16 years. We're going to tell Nigerians that we've given roads that you can be able to fix in the last 16 years. We're going to tell Nigerians that the security are now having the equipment to fight the insurgency very well. Secondly, let's go back to the party supremacy. We'll make sure that we build the party structure that everybody must respect the party. Can't go away with the party and do anything you like differently. Third is what we call internal democracy. We're going to build a strong internal democracy where we give young people and other people opportunity to participate according to the leader rules of the party. The last one, which is quality reward system. We're going to reward our members according to what you contributed to the party. Because we can't give, any structure, you must have an hierarchy. And when you suffer, like building this studio, and someone wants to pull you out, no, it can't work, because you are the one that built it, and you are the one that goes to work on it and make sure that it succeeds. And that's what we're going to do.
Teacher Gaban is talking about, this is more of generational change or transformation is bringing to the party. But then, looking at the contemporary issues, you talked about, the essence of internal party democracy and, how political parties in the past, were seen as the vehicles, for emerging as, leadership positions, and how important and how respectful are the political parties. And today, perhaps part of your manifestos is to bring back that glory, how political parties can shape policies, how they can serve as a vehicle, how they can do the checks and balances and what have you. How do you intend to realize this in our contemporary realities of the political atmosphere?
Now let me agree with Mohammed's comment here. Now, the kind of person I didn't tell you that I've been a youth pastor in my church for about 22 years now. So I interact with youths. I've told people several times that success without a successor is failure. So everything I will do as a party chairman has to do with youths and women. Because they're the ones that actually do all the work.
I was actually about comment to that, because I haven't heard some of you talk about women, largely, in the structure, because they're also fundamental. We'll come back to the issue of youths. You are a youth yourself, and you want to bring that, take back, what is meant for the youths. What do they call it now? Trying to take over the mantle of leadership from the elders, who many would say at this point in time should find time to rest and allow. Yes, okay, I'm getting that from you.
I'm coming in with that in mind, but the most important thing for me right now is that we have to bring some kind of new level of management of political parties. Apart from the fact of my very history, where I'm from, my family background. I have other in-laws that are married from across Nigeria. I have an in-law that is from Osun State. I have in-laws that are from Edo and Kaduna State. I have an in-law that is from Abia. My wife's immediate younger sister's husband is from Abia. Apart from that one, the youths and women form part of whatever I will do. Now, he was talking, I was listening to him. My policy objectives, one, the Nigerian agenda, respect for the efficient implementation of the party constitution. It must be done.
How do you instill that respect? Because that is a very key challenge.
Yes.
Restoring that respect in an atmosphere that we find ourselves today, where leadership of political parties go cap in hand, trying to get funding from governors.
That is where the change will come. Because I told you earlier of our desire to ask for members to own the party. But when you do that, you're not telling that they are relevant and they are not to be toyed with. You do that, you cannot go to the next stage. You talked about reward system. It's here, effective reward system. The person that you bring in to man positions must have your dream. It must be done. Synergy among all party structures. I mentioned it. Absolute transparency in party affairs. Number 5, ensure campaign promises are fast-tracked and fulfilled to the later, which is why I talked about appealing initially for the presidential candidate to have his campaign structure office under the party, so that we don't say one thing here, the candidate says something differently. It becomes a problem. Like this issue of
must be uniformity.
Like this issue of what do you call it? What do you call his name? Change.
Is it a change?
No.
Oh, okay.
Transformation. Is it not transformation?
The change agenda now.
Not the change agenda. When you talk about the structures, you have to change the structures so that you can have.
Is it the next level agenda you're talking about? Well, okay, we'll get to that. Okay, as we round up.
Yes.
You talked about exploring perhaps the potentials of the youths and tapping in their contemporary experiences, to do, especially in the area of party management and so on and so forth. How do you intend to reach out to your constituency, the youths, for support as you vie for the chairmanship of the APC? And how do you think this constituency can help, galvanize that needed support for you to emerge?
Thank you very much. I think reaching out to young people, it's already in agenda setting for a year now in the party. You can see young people in the party are aggressively coming out, and even challenges from the world congresses that we just finished, and we're going to the national convention. Young people realize that this is their time, and what they can do differently is about giving the little they can do to make sure that we change the status quo. How can they do it? It's about contributing your own quota in the level you can do it. If you are a printer, for example, because politics is another thing, but you must do something. What can you contribute to your young fellow that is doing contesting? Is it a poster? Is it a banner? If you are a media guy, how can you do it? You give him the support.
So in a way, you perfected, the strategies to get your constituency to support you, to realize your objective.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Mr. Sonny Monidafe, former ACN chairman, FCT, and the Jagaban of Jamaica. happens to be one of the aspirants, vying for the position of the chairmanship of the the All Progressives Congress, APC. Thank you very much for joining us
for
the discussion. And also having Mohammed Ezu Saidu, who is a journalist, a politician, and an activist. He's also an essay to the governor of Niger State on rural electrification, one of the youngest aspiring for the position of chairmanship of the APC, slogging it out with former governors, former senators, elders, statements, and so on. Thank you very much for also coming on the show this evening.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes, on your behalf and the technical crew, my name is Shafiu Suleiman. Do this with us tomorrow, God's willing, as we bring you another interesting personalities and topic on the program, Daily Politics. Thank you very much for staying with us.